stand and fight. Can't just wait here and wait for sharks to rain down on us again.
Instead of letting live sharks rain down on people, we're gonna get in that chopper and throw bombs into the tornadoes.
They took my grandfather. So I really hate sharks.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I am SocioPsycho, and this is Mob Reviews. And today, we're going to take a look at Party Hard. It is a pixel top-down 2D 8-bit styling of a stealth slasher horror theme. How well does it actually manage to pull that off? And that is what we'll dive into here today. And we'll begin in the options menu. Now, for the options menu, there is a wide berth of screen resolutions, which I do appreciate. The game has been running at 60 frames per second. I have not had any crashing or tearing, nor clipping, but there have been some small bug issues related. On multiple occasions, I've completed a level, and for some reason, the level did not trigger my victory. It's really disappointing when you spend X amount of time, 5, 10, 15 minutes, on a map, only to have it basically say, haha, that was worthless. That goes into some of the similar design flaws of the game, which we'll talk about in gameplay, but for right now, the other issue I had is a minor graphical glitch with the conversational bubbles that they have above their head. It's not big, and I only saw it once or twice. It didn't ruin the gameplay for me, but it was an inconvenience. Now, they also have the music sliders, which is very nice. The music in this game is decent. I would have liked to see a larger collaboration. It sounded to me like a lot of the songs were similar. They were the same or remixes of the song. There wasn't really that much definition in the individuality of the songs that you came across in the game, and while this game is Party Hard, where you mass murder people at a party, it would have been nice to have a little bit more of variation in the music that was going on in the background. The sound effects and the voiceovers sounded just fine, as the game has a good baseline story to tie everything together. So the options menu is pretty simplistic, as well as the controlling options. Now this is a bit annoying because I would have liked to have a rebindable option here, as some of these keys worked a little better for me if they were switched around, such as Q and E. Kill is for E, Q is for dance. I would have rather had the other way around. And you might be different. You might want to incorporate tab or spacebar using it as something else. It's unfortunate that it doesn't have that. So let's dive into the game and see exactly what you have to look forward to. Now when we come in here, you can see you have 12 different missions that progress as you go through the game and the story ravels out around you. When we go into it, you have different heroes, and these heroes will unlock as you progress through the game, some being plot orientated, but as I completed the game the first time, now this character is available to me. So there is a sense of progression in a way of getting a little bit more, a little bit different of a character. It doesn't mean that the playstyle of that character is vastly different, but it is something. It's a tiny little accomplishment. Which ties us into the gameplay and how the motions of the game work. The game is very simplistic. In the top left corner you have your points, as there is a point system in the game. Now the point system unfortunately only goes to your account, and you can, as you slide over different missions, read your best time for each of those missions. There is no leaderboards. This may be something that you are happy with because you enjoy more of the single player challenge, or something you might actually be upset about because there is no competition with other people. This would have been actually ideal for it to have. By them not having a leaderboard is really unfortunate, as this game has all the makings to really stand out and allow the continuation of how fast can I get through this mission because of the point count and the time count it already has integrated into the game. So it is a little unfortunate that they don't have that. But when we look at the gameplay itself, the exact gameplay of how the game handles, it has its moments of true beauty and elegance, and then it has a lot of moments where it's just downright annoying, where you can't really handle all the situations you're put into elegantly. There's a lot of stab one person, run to the other side, stab another person, run to the other side. The stealth aspect of that game, upon where you roam around the map unseen, taking out people in strategic locations, hiding bodies, that's good. The sneaking around is good. Being able to pick up bodies and dump those bodies so they can't be found is also nice. But as far as shadows go, or the ability to hide the character themselves in a chest or a closet or something of that nature, is, I feel, a shortcoming of the game. There are situations upon where the level design gets more difficult due to the restrictive flow of movement throughout the homes or the buildings, meaning that if you kill somebody in one room at the end of a hallway, and now 5 people are walking down that hallway to come in there, yes, you can try to kill them all, but if one gets away, they're going to call the cops, and that cop is going to come and arrest you, unless you're able to escape by running around the map and tire him out, or use a trap to kill the cop. But there is no chests or closets or anything that you can really hide yourself in to ensure that you can't be found, that those 5 people who enter that room won't immediately see you and peg you as a murderer. Because that's how the stealth system in this game works. It falls down to a very simplistic line of sight element, to a point upon where if you murder somebody in a room and you leave that room and 2 other people walk into that room, but they are spaced out enough to where the first person goes in and then the second person walks around the corner, the second person will see the first person as the murderer and they will be the one arrested. It doesn't mean that that will get you off the hook because the cop can arrest multiple people throughout the level. But the mechanic itself is a simple line of sight for the fault given. If you can avoid line of sight when you take somebody out, even if you kill somebody in a doorway, but you are behind a wall, they can't peg you as the murderer. They don't know who did it. They'll see the body and get freaked out by that, but they won't be able to identify who did it. And this simple line of sight can be useful, but I would have liked to see it taken a little bit further by implementations of different elements in the game that really allow the player to stealth around, to feel like a Jason from horror movies or some sort of thriller where you come out of the shadows and just slice someone open, and then you go back into the shadows, or you go through down a hallway and just have at it. There's really no sense of epicness. The element of conquering the map is in its conquering feel, not the kill itself. The stealth element and the strategic element, like a puzzle, figuring out which part, when, and who to take out first and where to put the bodies if you decide to move them at all, is the strongest point of the game. The game does not really express itself all that well with the actual killing. There's not really an artistry to the killing, unfortunately. Just kill as many as you can, as fast as you can, in a really non-visually horrendous fashion. It is not a very graphical game, so by that standard, you're not going to look at this and be like, oh my goodness, these pixel art disembodiments are disgusting. The story doesn't really have a point besides mass murder, so that may be something that you are put off of right there on the spot. But what I do like about the gameplay is that the levels randomize within a parameter upon each time you are busted or die in that level. It doesn't mean that the entire level itself changes. The elements of the layout stay the same, but certain areas and objects you can interact with do change, where there'll be a horse in one area. Now there'll be a fire pit or a food stand, which you can poison or push somebody into a fire pit. There are different elements upon these maps, which give them a little bit of a randomization, so it's not a pure set, oh well this is how you beat it in a walkthrough guide like a puzzle game. The randomizational element does a great job of keeping it fresh, because there are plenty of times that if a kill count's 66 and you're up to 61 and you get busted, you just lost X amount of time. Having some of the elements in the game be randomizing to either help eliminate your targets can make your continuation of playing that much more edible. The game plays like the younger brother of Hotline Miami. Now, if you have not played that game, then by seeing of this, it's just a slower paced styling. And it's fair to say that if you liked one, you're going to like the other. Personally myself, I enjoyed this one more than that one because this was slower paced. It was a little bit more forgiving, and it was less flashy. Which brings us to the story element of the game. The story itself was not bad. I was encouraged to play more, and I did play more because I wanted to see what happened next. I wanted to understand and see where the story led me, which was really nice. The way the story is depicted is in a third-person manner upon a cop talking in an interview about the killings. So, as you are continuously rampaging on these mass murder sprees, you also get the satisfaction of the conquest because it is a cops and robbers, a chase, a hound and a fox type feel where you are one step ahead of the law enforcement agencies. But in the end of the day, if you can't get across the main premise of what the action is taking, mass murder, then it doesn't matter how well the story ties in a third-person dialect because the main theme is not going to appeal to you, and that's fine. The game was not really in your face. It wasn't aggressive or abusive to a player in any fashion, and the killings of these innocent people was not anything that was depicted as something that was positive or justifiable in any sort. Thus why the third-person commentary of the cop really tied you in for feeling the disgust this guy has for the murderer. So at the end of the day, the game is not perfect. It has some issues in it. Whether it be the zombies, which run around now and again, it's not something you see often. It's more like a gag or maybe a Halloween thing or an added feature or something, but you can see them. And these zombies can turn other people. One thing I don't like about that is that the cops don't attack the zombies. And the zombies still count as living people that you have to kill. And if you kill a zombie in front of somebody who's not a zombie, then they freak out. So there are a couple issues here and there with overlaying development factors that really don't make sense, such as the fact that you can't stab a cop even if he's not looking for you. Even if he just came on the map to look at a crime scene and he doesn't even have you in mind as the perpetrator, and you sneak up behind him and you stab him, he'll just arrest you. So there really is this sense of power, and the feeling of escalation does not increase either because of this. Yes, there is a SWAT team and there are some secret agents, but these aren't factors that really make the player cringe as, oh no, I'm in trouble now, because it's so simplistic for the player to die with a simple one hit or an arrest that it plays heavily on a stealth element for the game, which falls down to a very easy and simplistic line of sight mentality rather than any true stealth mechanic. It is a hide and seek in the most basic samples rather than any in-depth stealth throughout the game. But with that said, did I enjoy my time with it? And while I did find many points where I was highly frustrated at the game for me getting so far and almost beating it and then something stupid happening and my character dying, for as many of those there were, the gameplay did squeak by. It is easy to say that if you get easily annoyed, or if you don't like having to start all the way over as there is no save on the in-between, then you're going to be very frustrated in this game, and it's possibly not for you. You have to look at it as a roguelite puzzle game in a strategic manner with some stealth, rather than just a hack and slash run around and hope you don't die. Because if you do that, it's going to be a while before you beat any of the levels. I enjoyed it to a point, but I found it very repetitive and annoying because it didn't have any real fluctuation as the world didn't really interact with itself. Yes, occasionally somebody who isn't you will get arrested who's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, which is appreciative, but there are certain elements in the game which really don't tie the player's power and his actions to a wider screen, and this can be represented perfectly and fine by the fact that you kill 50 out of 60 other people on a map. Cops come, they take bodies away, but the last 10 people still act like nothing happened. There is no certain alert status, there's no everybody's on awareness, or maybe now we just leave. And I think that's because of the pressure, the element that they put onto a time clock that they gave the player, not as a you need to beat it within this time limit, but a psychological understanding that there is a time, so the longer I take, the longer my time is, the poorer I did. Which I think without having a leaderboard is a huge mistake, because you are now just hurting the psychological element of the player rather than giving them an enticement to better accomplish against somebody else. Although it doesn't show this while playing the game, which would have been horrible, it's still there in the back of your mind. So I can recommend it, but you really have to understand what you're getting into and that there will be some frustration, whether it just be on your end in how you react to failing or the limitations that you come across. And I can recommend this game, though just barely. The concept, the premise, the way you act and move is decent enough, and it gets by to where it can be entertaining. It has plenty of content and many of hours of retryability. It just falls short in some areas that can easily discourage, annoy, and push away a lot of other people. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been SocioPsycho, and this has been Mob Reviews. I hope this has been of help to you, and I'll see you next time.